Hello, viewers. Hi, welcome to the. Hi there.
Ron
Yeah,
is
it's, ni-
tired,
yeah,
everybody.
it's nice to see you, everyone. Welcome to the Magic Morning
Oh,
Wood.
he's also drunk, it seems. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So hi. So welcome to Magic Morning Wood, where we talk about movies. I'm Ron, and with me, as always, to
It's,
my left or right, I guess.
it's me, it's
On the
Clive.
screen. Hi, Clive. How's it going?
Hello, Ron. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Great.
Great. Well, best part of the show out of the way. Let's
Yep.
move on to the movies. All right, let's do what we're talking about.
Well, hey,
So,
Ron. Hey, Ron. Hey,
yeah,
Ron. I've,
yeah,
I've got a
yes,
little,
Clive.
I've got a little
Yeah.
treat for you.
Oh, right, great. Yeah, something hilarious, I hope.
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think you might actually quite like this.
Okay, great.
It's
I'm
in the
excited.
spirit of Samuel L.
Just
Jackson.
a second. Wait. I just want to shift so that I'm sitting on the edge of my seat.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Don't fall off.
Now I'm literally on the edge of my.
In the spirit of Samuel L. Jackson and Tony Blair and other
Okay.
classics, I
Yeah.
thought you would dig this because of your intense dislike of the new Wonka.
Wasn't intense. It was a. It
I
was a.
reckon,
It was a lukewarm reaction.
I reckon we should now, from now on, refer to this actor as Tomete Chalamet. Not bad,
Moving off the edge of the seat. Yeah. So yeah. Not bad. Tomete.
Tomete Chalamet.
Tomete. Chalamet.
Yeah.
Tomete. Chalamet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For those
okay.
who don't know, Tomete is stop. So part of Ron's Stop the Chalamet campaign.
Of the Chalamet.
Tomete
Yeah.
Chalamet. Every time you see him now, you can refer to him
Tomete.
in that.
Tomete. Excellent. So, why is that have anything to do with what we're talking about today?
Well, it doesn't.
Nothing. Okay.
No.
Nothing to do with anything here or there. Okay, I see. Okay, good. Well,
It was
on to the
too
movies.
good. It was too good just to drop in casual conversation. It has to be
Right.
recorded for the ages, just in case anyone else ever comes up with it.
It is hilarious.
Copyright
Right.
Live the Tomete Chalamet.
Right. My hair's all like standing up today. I don't know what's going on here. So I just finished. Yeah. There you go. Perfect.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's easy for you to say, Mr. Baldy. So it's
Yep. No mess, no fuss.
Mr. My head's on upside down.
That's right.
Yeah, that was good stuff. That was before we were off camera. Yeah, there you go. Turn it upside down. Wow, you looked really old right there.
Thanks, man. You're hideous too.
Okay. Anyway. Okay. So we're loopy. This is like classic Magic Morning Wood. You know, like when we were loopy on the month.
This is true,
Wood.
actually. This is how
true,
it
yeah.
began.
Yeah, how it all began. And so, yeah. So we were doing our algorithm with our movies, which is began with what are we reacting? We're reacting to the Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Correct.
Right. Yes. So it was our last movie some time ago, and so I continued because I am generally speaking a fan, and I think you are to some degree as well of what's his face, Terry Gilliam.
Yes.
so I thought let's go out and do another Terry Gilliam fan movie, and I actually had never seen this movie, The Zero Effect. Sorry, Zero. I keep getting it mixed up. The Zero Effect. Have you seen The Zero Effect?
When it was new, yeah.
Yeah.
Film, right?
Bill what?
Bill Pullman film, right?
Bill Pullman. Yeah. So yeah. I like that movie. Ben Stiller or something.
Yes, I think he might have been in it. Well, he was a little bit of a super Buckaroo Banzai type.
I remember really liking that. So I keep getting these two movies mixed up. So the title mixed up in it.
Right.
But not Zero Effect. The Zero Theorem. Which is Terry Gilliam film, and I had never seen it before, and I was like, well, there's a strong link with Terry Gilliam, and it's a movie I've been it's been on deck for me to watch. I almost used it for another episode a few episodes back for something. I can't remember what it was for, but I was like, let's just save it, and I'll wait, and we'll do it for as a reaction to Baron Munchausen. So I decided to use this one. So so directed by Terry Gilliam, written by Pat Russian, and somewhat by Harry Gilliam,
Hmm.
and starring Christoph Waltz
Hmm.
and Lucas Hedges and Melanie Thierry.
Mhm.
Thierry, is that how you pronounce it? Maybe Thierry.
Dunno.
Temete, Melanie Temete,
No, she can come on in. But
and
Tomete, Tomete.
David Thewlis
Yeah.
and Gwendolyn Christie. Rupert Friend is in there. Yeah, some other like kind of pop-up cameos.
Yeah,
Matt
you got
Damon pops up for a
Matt
bit.
Damon,
Yeah,
Sanji
Ben
Muska,
Whishaw,
yeah, Peter
Tilda
Stormare,
Swinton,
yeah, your mate Peter
Tilda,
Stormare from
Peter Stormare. Yes, yeah, is in
Land
there.
or whatever the fuck you saw him.
Yeah, I saw him at a water park one time. Yeah, so yeah, a bunch of like kind of pop up cameos a little bit, but for the most part, it's sort of Christoph Waltz basically carrying. It's
Yes,
kind of a one man show for most of it, kind of. So yeah, this is
he goes to the same barber as me in this film as well.
yes, yeah, sure. Yeah, his barber finished the job though.
Yes, mine died of a heart attack. Oh, it was shot by
Halfway
some
through.
gangsters. They missed me in the chair,
Yeah, right.
and yeah, I got away.
So this is sort of Gilliam at his Gilliamist.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Sort of, I
yeah, well,
guess.
yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, it is very, very, very Gilliam indeed.
yeah,
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 this is
yeah.
this is so 2013. So he's made one film since, right? He's made the man who killed Don Quixote,
Hmm.
which I still haven't seen. Actually, have you seen
Yeah, I
it?
still haven't seen that, but it's famous for being like I know Terry Gilliam's movies are famous for being kind of problem laden and
Yeah.
famously difficult. But apparently the Don Quixote one is like mythical in in
Yes.
the amount of problems that it's gone
Yes.
through. And they even did a whole documentary just on the problems
Yes. Man of the
of
Mansion,
that,
which is pretty amazing.
which I've been meaning to watch both of them to find
Yeah.
out actually how it ended up turning out, and I still haven't gotten around to them yet. So
Yeah. Well, that was when they set it up the first time round, right?
first time, and it flopped, and
Yeah.
then it turned out, and then he did actually ended up doing it, right? So
Managed to finish it in the end, and then I get the feeling that it might have been a bit underwhelming, maybe because it didn't seem to set the world on fire when it came out.
I feel like that probably maybe that's why I never haven't actually gone up to
Yeah.
see it. That was going to be it's sort of like the myth behind it is more interesting than the movie probably actually
Yes,
will
yeah,
end up
it
being.
feels
But
a bit yeah, I've been I don't know, I've never really felt like, oh, I'm really in the mood to watch Don
Don
Quixote
Quixote.
now somehow.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but anyway, so yeah, this is a tough one to explain. Let's see. Christoph Waltz plays maybe Q. They just call him Q most of the time, but I think his name is Cohen.
Yeah,
Cohen with
yeah,
spelled with a Q. Cohen Left, I think his name is character's name is. They call him Q, and he's sort of this real socially awkward, kind of introvert, kind of shut in, kind of guy. Very tech kind of an IT, and kind of an otaku, I guess, kind of guy, right? And
yeah,
doesn't have any social skills and stuff like that. So, and he somehow gets there's of course this sort of big corporation run by Matt Damon, and they're trying to and they recruit him to solve the zero theorem, which is they want that they help me out with this if I'm floundering, but basically they want 100% to equal zero, and that to prove that life is meaningless, basically.
yes, that
That,
it'll
that
all
that's about
the
it.
universe will all contract back to nothing.
Right. And so that basically it's the search for no meaning, basically the search
Yeah,
for the fact that all life is meaningless, but he himself is sort of grappling with this idea that he wants to solve the problem, but at the same time wants to sort of find meaning in his own life, and
right. It's a
and then he
paradox, right?
paradox, right? Yeah. So and
Yeah,
he kind of so he has comes across these sort of people like Lucas Hedges plays Bob, who is sort of this wunderkind who's also really smart and doing this kind of stuff, and is
very
kind of
annoying.
very very annoying, and kind of
I was trying
helps
to
him
figure out
through.
who he reminded me of, because I don't think I know Lucas Hedges particularly. I don't know what I might know him from, but he really, really was reminding me of someone, but I couldn't think Who?
He was in. Did you see Three Billboards?
Oh yes, I remember he
Yeah,
was in that.
he was in
Yes.
that. He was in Late. Did you see Lady Bird? He was in that one.
No, was he
No,
annoying like this in Three Billboards? I can't remember.
I can't remember. And he was also in Manchester by the Sea,
Yeah,
that
I
really
never saw
depressing one.
that either. No.
Um, but anyway, yeah, he was pretty annoying, but I think his character was supposed to be, so
Yes, of
there's that.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's him that's narrating or the character, but if he was trying to be, then he succeeded, right? So,
Yeah, I suppose
and then
it's a different type of like David Thewlis is also annoying, but David Thewlis is really good at being charmingly annoying. Like
I really like David
yeah,
Thewlis.
I'm a big fan of David Thewlis.
I have every time I see him, I always kind of perk up. I was like, oh, good, David Thewlis is in
He's
this,
by
right? So yeah,
far the most entertaining
yeah,
aspect of this film, I think.
yeah. In
And
general, so
eye
yeah.
candy and Melanie
Have you
Taylor.
ever seen? Have you ever seen? I probably not. I know you're not a big TV watcher, but he's in the first season of Fargo, the Fargo TV show,
I did
and
see the
he's
first
or
season
the
of
is it the
it. Yeah.
first season or second? One of those. I think maybe the second season or
Maybe
whatever.
second, because I
But
don't remember it
yeah,
the season.
because yeah, he's just brilliant to watch. He's just so much fun all the time. Yeah. So, anyway, but yeah, and so then he's also got this kind of online, dream girl that he's sort of that the company is sort of sent to him, played by Melanie Terry, who plays Bainsley, and she's sort of like I guess, kind of supposed to be like a prostitute, but like a
Yes.
fulfill your fantasies kind of thing. But maybe she actually ends up actually liking him, and but it's not really entirely clear. I think
I don't
if
know.
and if it's just his imagination or whatever. Um, yeah, and so anyway, so it goes on like that. So it's sort of like him trying to solve this thing by playing this video games with by putting these cubes in other big
Yeah. It
walls
seems
of
very
cubes and stuff.
it
Yeah,
seems very like there's
Minecraft or something.
wait, a Minecraft crossed with there's something a bit Bitcoiny kind of
Uh,
data mining about the whole thing
sure.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that way, it's funny, we'll get to this, but there's in some ways this film is very much an outdated old man's idea of what the future like stuff like this would have
Sure.
been
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
80s would have
the
looked
tech doesn't even already. I mean, it's only what like 11 years old, but the tech had already looked old.
yeah when it was new as
Yeah,
well, because I remember seeing it when it was new, but it was just like what the fuck is this old man's SF shit, like from the 80s or something. But the one thing
yeah.
that's
Yeah, it was
slightly
like Tron or
different,
something like with that, like the 80s idea of what
yeah,
futuristic.
but yeah, but the one thing that slightly seems pressured is that blockchain kind of thing element
Yeah.
of the games. But yeah, everything else like people randomly on cycles and skates and stuff in the street, like something out of Neuromancer or something like that. Like
Yeah.
things, yeah, look
Remind me a little
like
bit of like Fifth Element kind of, that kind of
yeah, it's weird. It's like
aesthetic and stuff.
yeah, it's weird. Yeah, doing stuff like Brazil and stuff like that. He seems to have got stuck in that time zones idea of what the future will look like or something.
Right.
And by
Yeah.
2013, it just looks like, I mean, in a lot of ways, this film is very much a Oji-san's old man's film, I think.
Yeah, I
Especially I
guess so.
noticed watching it the second time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it kind of
It's
got under my nose a bit the second. The first time I saw it, I thought, it's not very good Gilliam, but I'd rather some Gilliam than no Gilliam, if you see what I mean.
right.
But this time, second watch, I was just like, this is pretty. This didn't need to exist in the world. You know what I mean?
I think I was trying to figure out, kind of put my feelings about it into words, and it was even though it is very, very Gilliam, it felt to me almost like someone trying to do Gilliam.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it felt like not really authentic Gilliam. It was like someone who was a really big Gilliam fan was trying to make a film like Gilliam.
Exactly.
So it felt like a faux Gilliam. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
It was like he was kind of going through the motions almost. You know what I mean? So it was. Yeah, it was. I found it quite unsatisfying in general. So I thought it was, as much as I really like Baron Munchausen, I like some of his other movies. This one just sort of felt kind of like, like it was just like
greatest hits, but without
sure.
the greatest hits.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Christoph Waltz is always good, but I think he's. I mean, his character's so unlikable that so you don't really care
Yeah.
that much, right? So yeah.
And in many other ways, it's outdated, but not just the trappings of it and the because he lives in a city which is like a cross between like London and Shibuya or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But like stuff like, well, for instance, the Melanie Thierry, that whole kind of lonesome guy and hooker with the heart of gold, and like just the wish fulfillment way she dresses and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's really hot for him for no reason at all.
Yeah.
Thing. It's just like, yeah, this feels very, yeah, you don't make films like this anymore, right? And not the good ones, not they don't make them like that anymore. Like
Yeah.
don't make these anymore, kind of
Yeah.
different category,
Yeah.
right?
They had no chemistry, the two of them. First of all, I mean, like I don't know,
Oh,
like even what they were trying. Like I was like, I felt bad for her. Like it was like, with like those prostitutes, they gotta kind of like close their eyes and pretend they're somewhere else. When they get the really gross ones. That's basically he is. And I was like, but you're supposed to buy by the end that she actually wanted him. And I was like, I don't know, I don't
I
get
mean,
it.
to be fair, she's trying really hard. Like she's
Well, yeah,
doing
I think,
a really
to be
good
honest,
job.
I think everyone in this movie does a fairly good job with what they're supposed to do. I think they all hit their marks and do what they're supposed to do. I just don't think what they're supposed to do is that good.
It's
You
not
know what I
worth
mean?
doing.
Yeah, I think all the actors were perfectly cast. They were all well done. They all did exactly what they were supposed to do. The problem, I think, lied with the script and the direction, right? Which
Yeah,
is
the
that
problem is they're in
who
this
cares?
film. Yeah.
Yeah, in the film itself, right? Which is like, who cares? It's a bit of a letdown. I was kind of looking forward to it, and I generally like his stuff, but yeah, it just felt like yeah, he's an old man trying to do what he used to do, but it just didn't
Yeah.
land
It's very much
anymore.
treading water. One of the reasons maybe we haven't watched Don Quixote as well, right? Is it does seem
Yeah,
like,
he's kind of lost his magic or whatever, if
yeah.
he ever had. Right? So yeah.
The other thing about this as well, I thought was kind of interesting. So it was done mostly shot in Bucharest, I believe, for a relatively low budget. And I think the way they went about it was, they were very smart in the pre-production, and lots of people were only there for like a day or two, and like they organized the filming in a way that it could be done really quickly and efficiently, and I'm wondering if that's the problem as well. Like Gilliam's got nothing to rally against, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
it's not a production teetering on the end of disaster. It's actually going smoothly. So he's just like kind of a little bit bored. Right? He doesn't have his blood up.
He
Right?
needs the chaos, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what some people who know him say that. Like even like some of the members of Python, like I've heard them say that about him. Like he needs to be in opposition to something for him to, uh, to reach his kind of
The rally.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess he maybe didn't have it here, so I don't know. It's a theory anyway. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
or hypothesis. Sorry, not a theory.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, not that much as I mean, yeah. I mean, another example of like because you love or hate, Terry Gilliam stuff, but in general, he's not who you would call a cringe-worthy director, right? He's not uncool, right? However, Tilda Swinton rapping, you're like,
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
we're in Leprechaun sequel territory, right?
with fake buck
Yeah.
teeth in too, right?
Like I know it was supposed to be like Das Iron and cool, but it was like I know it was so like just the fact that in 2013, someone like hip hop music would be used as something like new and that kind of old. It's like everything about it is just really out of step and out of date.
Yeah, tone deaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like this. Pains me to say that because, like you say, I'm also very much in favor of Terry Gilliam. But yeah, this was not. It's funny how. So I remember seeing this when it was new, when it was like I said, it was yeah. But in like the 10 years since, like it's really gone to look really out of date. Like really
it's quite dated. And I mean, it's dated quickly. I mean, like you usually don't date that. Movies don't date that quickly. But yeah, it's only been 11 years, and it's already quite as I said, especially because there's a big a big section of it is this sort of like game playing. I don't know how that's supposed to figure out the zero theorem, but that's what he decided to go with, this kind of Bitcoin thing. But it looks so like how would this solve the universe? Like it's so yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It reminds me of, was it this year or last year? Was it Martin Scorsese? I haven't seen it, but he had a short film, like, did it play at the Oscars or something like that? Like, wasn't in competition, but it was just like something, and it was, I heard this properly, he made this short film about like some aliens who come to Earth or something, and no one notices because they're all looking at their phone.
yeah.
And it's like, wow, way to go, old geezer observation 20, it's like, we're kind of,
It's so on. Whoa.
yes, yeah.
It's your right.
But I mean, maybe we shouldn't be too. We all get old,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
But
Yeah.
but we don't all make films.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Terry, it was a bit of a letdown, this one, but
Yeah.
hey, good for him for doing things into his old age, I guess.
You
Right?
never
So,
know. He might return with one more film that actually kills him, like gives him a heart attack while making it, and it'll be the best
Sure.
thing he's ever made. Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
He'll actually explode from blood pressure or something on the final cut, and it'll be a masterpiece. It's how we would have wanted to go, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Right. Okay. So that brings me to my choice. So I went
All right.
the route of Adventures of I noticed I could have gone two ways actually. The way I went was Adventures of Baron.
Just two. Just two.
Yes, Baron Munchausen's production designer Dante Ferretti, kind of genius production designer, and he wasn't the official production designer for this film, Fellini's Satyricon, but he worked on it. That's how I came to it. But it turns out they have the same cinema.
So real weak link, real thin.
But luckily, I have a strong
real thin.
They were shot by the same guy, Giuseppe Roturno. I didn't realize that shot Baron Munchausen and shot Fellini's Satyricon back in 1969. I chose this because it's been a film on my radar for a while. I hadn't seen it before.
Which surprises me.
Okay, yeah, actually, the reason I chose it actually was Fellini is a bit of a blind spot. Is one of the big blind.
Oh, really?
For me, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not that up to snuff on my Fellini. I've only seen a couple of films, and I know I should see more. And I read. So this is based on the Satyricon by Petronius, right? Which is from the. I get the date 65 AD from somewhere. I can't remember where, but I got it from back when I read Petronius's Satyricon in like a Penguin translation, and it's kind of a mixture of prose and poetry. And have you ever read Satyricon by any chance?
No.
And I remember reading it and thinking it was fantastic. I was like, oh, this is brilliant. And it only exists in like fragments.
Yeah.
So it's very elliptical. Like you'll be reading something and you'll be and then suddenly you're just somewhere else, and there's
somewhere else. Yeah.
So when you read the Penguins edition, for instance, it's quite interesting because you have like introduction and contextual stuff and explaining who Petronius was and where this comes from and stuff like that. So and I really like Satyricon, and I decided, I should probably watch Fellini's Satyricon. For some reason, took me until now. It was just on my long list of things to watch, and I thought, okay, this is my perfect excuse via Dante Ferretti. Let's get to Fellini's Satyricon.
Have you ever seen the other Satyricon?
The one that was made the same year? No.
Yeah, same year, and then took the title, and that's why you had to say it's Fellini's earlier.
Yeah. That one is. I'm quite interested. I will watch that soon, actually. I think because I get the feeling that was quite controversial. I haven't watched it, but I get the feeling it's. Is it maybe like quite homoerotic? I think the other version. I
This
think
one this one was. Yeah, so
yeah, well, I get the feeling that the other one was pushing it even more.
okay.
I mean, it'll probably, I can't imagine it not paling in comparison just to the spectacle of this film, but it might be really interesting to see. And because the text does have this kind of elliptical nature to it, it's interesting that you can kind of come at it from different angles, right? And which is certainly what Fellini does here. Is he includes a lot of episodes that aren't in Satyricon. For example, most obviously is there's a bit with like a minotaur, right? A fight in a maze with a minotaur or a guy dressed as a minotaur, and there's no minotaur because that's Theseus and the minotaur. That's not in Satyricon at all. That's just something from somewhere else that he's put in. And then I think there's even there's like stuff about there's like a this man who commits suicide, right? There's this and elongates his suicide by wrapping his wounds and then opening them up again and wrapping them up. And apparently that's how Petronius died. So there's like, so Fellini's kind of playing around with, you know, what exactly do we know about antiquity, right? We only know what we know from these fragments, and so he's kind of filling in gaps. And on the other hand, it's also quite faithful to the tone of Satyricon, because Satyricon is pretty fucking bawdy and sexy and gross and disgusting. So all of that is in the, so yeah, for my money, it's actually I was really pleased with it, just in terms of like, oh, this is yeah, it is, it really is Satyricon on the big screen. I suppose vaguely the plot is there's a couple of, I think they're students, right? There's Encolpius, as played by Martin Potter, who was the star of the 1975 Legend of Robin Hood series, which I think our mate Nick is a fan of. And basically he's got a young lover, right? As played by Born Giton, who I don't think is in anything else at all.
Can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
I was wondering if you have you can shed any light on this. Sorry, I'm so tired. I'm slurring my words. Why did Fellini decide to choose all English-speaking actors and then dub them?
Well, I mean, it would have been dubbed anyway, right? Because that's the way they made films in Italy at the time. I don't.
Why not choose Italian actors?
Well, actually, funnily enough, I don't think this is a real thing. I think this is him joking. But apparently, someone did ask, "Why is it English people in your film?" And Fellini said something like, "There are no Italian homosexuals." But I think that was him joking. But I don't know. Fellini, who knows? I mean, he's always cast people from all over.
Oh, okay. All right.
Plus, as well, the way the Italian film industry worked is, I'm guessing you didn't see the making of documentary.
No.
So there's a making of documentary called Ciao Federico. I'll talk about a little bit later on. But yeah, you can see the directing stuff, not just his director style, the way they did things in Italy at the time was the director would tell you what to do as you're being filmed. So if you watch Ciao Federico,
like a porn.
Yeah, he's there like he's going like, okay, lift your head, like, and it's interesting to watch it actually, because you're thinking like some I can imagine some like kind of Hollywood actors now would not be able to work this way. Someone constantly badgering you.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's all about, well, I made choices, right? And this just blows that whole concept out the water. It's such a different way of filmmaking, right? But to your point, it's interesting as well. He deliberately, I mean, the dubbing is deliberately off as well, right? Like it doesn't match.
Yeah, right. It's part of the alienation.
Yeah, that's what he was going for apparently, which was kind of interesting because I was watching it and I thought, oh, they seem a little bit off. But then again, I'm used to that in films with this. But yeah, he deliberately kind of messed it up so you didn't, just another kind of way to throw the viewer kind of off kilter, right?
Right.
So anyway, yeah. So and he's had his boyfriend stolen away from him by Asiltus, played by Hiram Keller, and then starts off as yeah, basically him trying to get his young lover back, except he's kind of spurned by the young lover. The young lover goes off, and then these two characters, the Matty Potter and Hiram Keller, they kind of find themselves either allies or in opposition across a kind of, or it's like an odyssey of things happen. Right? They end up on some slave ships and stuff, and yeah, they seem to be traveling through some kind of weird phantasmagorical kind of underworld, and there's a lot of yeah, sex, and there's a freed slave. The Trimalchio character, the one big thing in Satyricon and in the film is Trimalchio's feast, right? There's this whole extended set piece with people just debauched and drinking and feed and dancing, and so it's yeah, so it's very much yeah, it's not a film with a strong you wouldn't say it had a strong narrative, right? It doesn't really have a strong narrative thread. It's
Right. Yeah.
a film you give yourself over to, and you just, because it looks, we should mention, it looks astonishing, right? Like the locations are incredible. Like they shot all over a lot of places in the Mediterranean, some beautiful places, and then when they're indoors, they're in these. Danilo Donati was the set designer and the costume guy. He built these sets in Cinecittà Studios in Rome, which are just like fucking. They're really they're amazing, I think, because on the one hand they're like overwhelmingly like worlds, but they're also kind of quite patently fake looking as well. So it's very theatrical. I was thinking you would probably kind of respond to that as well, that it's like the performances and stuff as well are very mannered. Everything is quite theatrical, and sometimes it turns into a play, and then like we said, shot by Giuseppe Romano. And yeah, so long story short, I guess I was quite blown away by Fellini.
Yeah, I can tell.
Like I of course it has a reputation, and Fellini has a reputation and everything, but yeah, I didn't expect this to be quite as like just overwhelming. Like I almost immediately wanted to put it on again and just kind of soak it up. And no, I find it a fascinating film. How did you get on with it, Ron?
I couldn't tell. I couldn't remember if I'd seen this before or not, because I felt like I had, because not no, that's wrong to say. Let me start again. When I was in university, I had a bunch of friends who were taking film classes, and I didn't take film classes myself, but I know I had a bunch of friends who did, and I remember them talking about this movie.
Oh,
that
really?
they were made to watch this movie in class, and this is part of their film studies class. And I remember them just going on about how much sex there was and da da da, da stuff. So I think I conflated in my mind the fact whether or not I'd actually seen it with just people talking about it. So when I started to watch it, I was like, oh, I don't think I have seen this, but I thought I had seen it. So yeah, I would say I wouldn't use the word astonishing. I wasn't as blown away as you were, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely it's famous for a reason, you know, or it has its reputation for a reason. It's definitely you know, large scale. The production design is quite good, and the value, and yeah, I think you seem to have like a connection to the story beforehand, so you're kind of like where you had an investment into seeing how faithful it is to the movie, and to find, you know, seeing how he's going to portray the movie and the differences and stuff of that, which I haven't read that book, so I didn't have that connection. And so I mean, I knew that it was episodic, and that it was sort of like jumped around, and that it just sort of didn't really make sense that much a lot of times, and so I was already prepared for it. But yeah, I mean, it was fine for me. It was okay. I would say that didn't blow me away like it blew you away, but it wasn't terrible, right? So I didn't hate it, but it was yeah, I think yeah, it definitely looked great. And yeah, and as you said, there was very kind of theatrical staging, which I wasn't sure if that was on purpose, or if it was just the way they did it in 1960s Italy, or if that was just Fellini style. Because I don't know enough about this kind of film or and Fellini in general, so I don't know how this connects with the rest of his style of movies. So it didn't bother me that it was very theatrical, but I didn't stand out as being something that was different from anything else because I have no context to place it in, I guess, right? So
right. Well, like I said, me as well,
yeah.
actually. This is one step for me to finally kind of and I'm gonna spoilers warn you right now. My next choice is going to be another Fellini film. I know exactly what I'm going to choose.
Sure. Okay.
But
I mean, of course, Fellini is famous for for being he's still all these years later still like one of the most famous directors ever, right? So I mean, for a reason, I guess he's very like a visionary in that case.
Yeah, and he's one of those handful as well, like to have a like people say Hitchcockian or whatever. When people say Fellini-esque, even if you don't know Fellini, you kind of know what they mean, and you know there's going to be lots of and certainly the case here, a lot of really interesting faces like that are only on screen for like a few seconds or something. And
right.
You're like, who's that? Like, wow, who's that guy? Like, there's a lot of really interesting people.
It was like a Star Wars cantina kind of idea, just like all was like, oh, what's going on in the background there? Kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yes, I reluctantly concede it was. But it's interesting you said. I quite agree with you. Like in retrospect, because I hadn't seen the film before. I think if I had seen the film before, I probably would have said to you, "Hey Ron, if it's possible, why don't you read Satyricon?"
Read the book, yeah.
Because I think not in terms of just an understanding of it, but like you said, it makes it richer and more interesting because it's really fascinating because that's part of what he's not just doing some things is just an adaptation of something, and it sometimes doesn't matter if you know that. Sometimes it actually works in your favor if you don't know the source, if the adaptation isn't up to snuff.
Sure.
But the kind of what Satyricon is and what survives is part of what he's doing, right? Like the final scene of the film we have, which I thought was actually a stroke of brilliance, actually. But again, it wouldn't necessarily strike you as a stroke of brilliance if you weren't aware. The final thing you get is the stones, right? You get the stones, fragmented stones on an island, and there's some text on this one and text. And if you just saw that by itself, you kind of, oh, that's a beautiful image, and I kind of get it. It's sands of time and all that. But if you're very aware of Satyricon, you realize it's quite it's a very deliberate kind of message, right, or a kind of end point, or just kind of sum up like, this is what we know, this is what we don't know.
Yeah, right.
Have at it, kind of.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, it's definitely an undertaking to do. Sorry, my phone's going off. An undertaking to do a movie like this, So I mean, to do like source material that's unfinished, or source material that's not that doesn't have a through line to it, right? So I mean, it's very
right. But there's something very tempting. There's something very attractive about that as well, right? Like like some of like Kafka's stuff as well, for instance, is just kind of unfinished, but because it has such a strong voice, rather than push you away, that actually kind of makes you a little bit more interested
I guess. So I expected, but based on, I remember the other thing that struck out to me was that based on what my friends used to talk about, like I expected this to be like basically softcore, but there wasn't not even that much sex in it at all, really. It was very I'm wondering if I got it also confused with the other Satyricon, so I don't know how much sex is in that one. So
I think it's also a matter of just, I guess, maybe at that time, at that age, your friends you hadn't seen, and it's interesting. That kind of thing, I think you are remembering it right, because I have to admit, I watched the film and actually it didn't even I didn't really think of it in terms of, oh, there's an awful lot of sex in this film, just because I was kind of because it's in the source, right? But then afterwards, when I was looking up like other people's reviews and stuff, it did seem to be a thing that people was significant, that people noticed.
Right.
But a couple of old pervs, I guess we don't, nothing.
Sure. Yeah.
So on the disc as well, there's this 1 hour documentary, Ciao Federico, by Gilliam Bachman, which is quite interesting because yeah, you do get to see that how things were directed and the direction style, and yeah, I think if you like the film, it's pretty interesting to see. Yeah, just this kind of, yeah, it's almost like a circus on wheels or something. All these people going all these amazingly gorgeous locations, right, and going out to the Mediterranean. And yeah, it does look like a crazily huge undertaking. The other thing that's slightly poignant about it as well is there's a set visit at one point. They're on location, and Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate turn up.
Oh wow!
And this, I'm guessing, I mean, this would have been just a few months before the Manson.
Or yeah, right, yeah, sure.
And she's stunningly gorgeous. Like, just at first, they don't nothing. It's one of those documentaries that doesn't really. There's a narration by Barbara Steele, but it doesn't really tell you what's going on. It just drops you off, right? And yeah, at some point, there's this leggy blonde is kind of walking around, and you're thinking, "Wow, she's a smokehouse." And then you realize, oh, you see Roman Polanski, and then you see the two, and, oh fuck, and then you recognize it, and it's Sharon, and you realize, yeah, my God, what a beautiful person looking individual she was. Yeah, but yeah, sadly, a few months after this, yeah, yep. Unless of course you go by the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood version, in which case she survives because Brad Pitt killed Charles.
Sure.
or no, it was what's his name with the flamethrower, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Hitler ended up blown up in Inglourious Basterds as well.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, but yeah, it was worth a watch. I'm glad I finally got to watch it, even though I thought I had seen it already. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a masterpiece for me as it was to you, but it was yeah, it was fine. It was okay. It was a good watch. Yeah.
I think that's maybe more to do with the engagement. I think maybe if you were slightly more invested, if you know,
right,
you I think you would probably get even more out of it then, right? So
sure, yeah. And I mean, I do feel like as someone who's interested in film that I should see movies like this, and definitely Fellini and something. Like, it's almost like, you know, I mean, they're doing it in film studies class. It's like, you know, it's on the list of, you know, the movies that you should see if you're interested in film kind of idea, right? So so I feel like it's part of my homework to do this kind of thing anyway, so I guess so.
Yeah. But I push back against that a little bit as well, because I find in my experience, like for instance, if I had seen Fellini's SATYRICON, let's say for example when I was 20 or something, yes, I would have objectively appreciated it, but I'm not sure. Like, I think there's something to be said for, we talked about this before, when you're ready for things, right? So sometimes the idea of, oh, I should see this because it's a classic, you're thinking, well, actually, maybe no, because it's going to be kind of wasted on you if you're not ready for it, right? So you need to find your route to it.
Sure. Yeah.
In this, we talked before about how there's a little bit of work involved, like when you first encounter Shakespeare, it's like a brick wall. There's no handholds, but you do a little bit of work, and then you actually appreciate it. Then no one's forcing you, and you actually do enjoy Hamlet or Macbeth or whatever your groove is, and you actually do appreciate it, as opposed to pretending that you like it because everyone says it's great, right? So
right, yeah.
Okay, then so next time it's gonna be Spirits of the Dead for me, and whatever Ron chooses.
Okay. And Star Wars.
No. Until then, toodaloo. Tomete, Chalamet. Tomete.